Hi all, in this video I'm going to show you how to fix the direction mode motor on the UK version of RX 300. Mine was making a sort of clicking sound for a long time and then it just completely broke. So a lot of videos out there show you how to fix the US version of the car, which is much easier because it's on the glove box side. You just take out the glove box and fix it. On the UK version, you actually have to do it on the driver's side in the footwell where you've got your brake pedal and everything in between there, just really difficult to get to. So I show you how to do that, and I also show you how to fix the motor itself. Hopefully this is useful. Any questions, just comment there. I'll try and answer if I can. Thank you. So what you need to do is just get in there and start pulling at the trim. So pull it, you'll just try and see where you can get a good grip and just pull it back, and you'll see that there is a 10 mm bolt there, right there. Can you see that? Yeah. You can remove it with the 10 mm socket. And then on the right side, you'll see there's this thing here. There's like a flap. You just remove it using a screwdriver, open it up, and you'll see another 10 mm bolt there. And then you just start pulling it. Just start pulling it all around slightly, and it all just sort of comes off. Wasn't that difficult. It's quite easy. Just behind that trim, you see all those buttons there? Well, on the back, you've got those connectors. You need to just click open all these connectors, pull them out. And then on the left side, you've got the temperature sensor. It's like a white hose that comes all the way down to that place. Is held by a screw. Just remove the screw, and then we can go to the next part. Everything's happening much easier for me because I'm doing it for the second time. It might not be the same for you. Now there is 4 bolts that hold the airbag and the ODB connector. So you just remove these 4 bolts. You can see I've removed already one of them, and then there are 3 more to go. So this part is really important. Do not take it lightly. Disconnect the battery, the negative terminal, or both negative and positive terminal, but definitely the negative terminal of your battery, because this is where we disconnect the airbag. Then wait about half an hour, then come here, and you'll have to first take out that white connector, the ODB connector. It actually unclips from the underneath. I couldn't take a video from the underneath of it, but it's on the other side. And then the yellow cable, it will just clip off. There's a small black holder that you can see, that you can pull it out using a screwdriver, and then just pull out the yellow connector. It should come out easily. Once that connector is out, we will remove that black hose that brings in the hot air towards your feet. That's just there. You see that screw? Yeah, that nut, that just unbolts it, and then this black thing is held in place by 3 plastic hooks. Now I've already broken mine on the second or third time I was removing it, so be very careful with it. The most important bit is that on the top, the hook on the top is the one that you have to unclip first, and then the whole thing comes off. I made the mistake of just trying to pull it out and it broke, so be very careful around this area. If you want to be careful, this is one of the more difficult things to do here, because it just takes that amount of time and effort needed to actually take it out without breaking it. Once you remove it, you can see those two motors that we are going to work on, the one on the bottom and the one on the top. You can see those two motors. Yeah, these ones. So now you need to remove this cover. It gives access to the motors inside. It's quite easy to just unclip those small clips there. Yeah, just like that. Use your screwdriver, rotate it half a circle there. Yeah, and then it just comes out. Once they're out, just pull off the white cover. It's quite easy to do, but just make sure you don't break. There's two clips holding it. I broke my one, so be careful. For me, it was the mode motor that was broken, and it's held on a metal plate that's held in place with three screws. There's one there. Now I just want to show you this where the screws are. There's the second one there, and the third one. You see there, just there, that golden screw. That's the one that's really difficult to get to, and you can hardly see it when you're trying to unscrew. You have to be in a certain position where your legs are literally outside the car and you're stretched hand inside, and that's just where you can get it. I had to buy a separate camera, one of those endoscope cameras, to actually be able to see where this screw is and to be able to open it. So it was a painful fix. Here you will be able to see the motors move as they're supposed to. This is after the fix, not before the fix, so I'm just showing you how the motors actually move. And the lower one is setting the temperature, so mixing the cold air with the hot air, while the upper one is actually the ventilation. So switching between focusing the airflow towards your feet or towards the face or towards the windscreen. To be able to remove the motor, you have to remove two bolts and one nut from the foot brake. It's not very easy. You need a long extension on your socket set, and they're all 12 mm's. So you just need to get in there. It's really difficult to film it. I've tried, but it's not worked very well for me. This is how the motor was when I took it out. If you forget how it is, then you can always bring it back to this position. The black plate is held with the motor using, there's a small clip inside, and you just need to unclip it on the center of the motor, and it will detach. Once detached, it looks a bit like this. There are about 6 or 7 clips around the motor itself, and once you remove the top cover, you'll see this inside. There is a motor. There are about 3 gears in there, 4 gears. One's attached to the motor, and then there's 3 rotary gears. There's lots of grease in there, and the way it all works is that the motor rotates, turns the first gear, which turns the second gear, which turns the third gear. But the important bit is, you see that big third gear? On the underside of that gear are some sensors. It's like carbon plating, and there are some like sprung connectors on the back. So that's how the car computer knows where the motor's position is at that point. Now what happens in these is that over 10-15 years of the grease moving inside, it actually gets onto that sensor gear. So what I'm talking about is that black 3 lines you could see on the gear itself, on the back side of the gear, that gets covered by grease, and then that basically stops it from working. So what I had to do was, number one, clean the grease off from the gear itself, and once it was all nice and dry, my carbon these 3 lines were um, destroyed because they had grooves set inside them because of continuously moving in the same place again and again over many years, because the motor used to click for a lot of time. So what I had to do was go on to Amazon and buy there's like a conductive ink pen, and I used that ink to cover up the missing uh, black carbon in on the sensor here. So when you finish with it, it should actually look like the one in the picture here. And that basically, put it all together back in, clip it all together, and then you can fit it back. And before you actually finish, you must test that's working. I made a mistake of just putting it all together, the whole assembly back in, and then found out that it doesn't work. Then I had to open it all again. The good thing is the second time I did it, I made a video of it, so hopefully it will be helpful for you. This picture explains what's happening. If you're interested, you can look into this and try it out. When you're putting back the motor, put the top screw in first, then ask someone to keep moving the motor for you by pressing the buttons on the climate control screen, while you make sure that there's three small metal tabs that need to fit into the black plastic part uh, before you put the other two screws on. I made the mistake of just putting it all together and thinking it will work, and one I accidentally left one of the metal parts out, and it didn't work, and I have to go in and do it all over again. So make sure that you do it right the first time. So these are the tools I had to use. A really small screwdriver to get in there, and an extension for getting in to remove the brake pedal. And yeah, basically that's my set. So that's what you need. At the end, just want to say a big thank you to Kind Master. The last video I did about fixing the needle in my IS250 was done in Microsoft Windows Video Editor, whatever it was. It was a pain to do. So big thank you to Kind Master, and I'm going to post all the links of different forums and things like that in the description, so you can actually read up on it as well if you don't want to watch the video. Right, thank you.